Nance shot her husband, Timothy Nance, and then dumped his body in Milwaukee. Eve Nance's sister, Tina Ewell, had been arrested as well, but has now been released. Fox 11's Chad Doran has the new details.
It was Eve Nance who first reported her husband Timothy missing on November 5th.
Our investigators were looking at this as a missing persons case.
A story she told police for weeks.
But as time goes on, obviously we start looking at other explanations as to why this individual is not around.
But on November 20th, police say that story changed.
When Miss Nance and Miss Ewell were taken into custody was a pivotal point in the investigation.
Eve Nance allegedly shot her husband twice in the head, wrapped his body in plastic, and put it in the trunk of her car. From there, police say she took his body to Milwaukee and dumped it in a wooded area on the northwest side of the city. The criminal complaint points to a troubled marriage and an extramarital affair that may have played a role in the case.
We've had some previous police contacts with the individuals involved in this case.
Eve Nance and her sister, Tina Ewell, were arrested in November for allegedly hiding Nance's body. But until Tuesday, neither had been charged. Monday afternoon, Ewell was released from the Fond du Lac County Jail at the request of the district attorney's office. Ewell is not implicated in the criminal complaint, and authorities would not say whether or not she will be charged with any crimes. Timothy Nance's friend, Rodney Emerson, listened carefully to the news Tuesday, and he didn't hide his feelings about the woman facing charges for allegedly murdering his friend.
Go to court, I'll be there. She gets sentenced, I'll be there. She go to prison, I'll be watching the bus take her there. Because she'll be where she's supposed to be, and she got the rest of her life to think about what she did.
That news clip was actually from the beginning stages of the investigation, but actually in 2013. Now, the case took about 3 years. In 2016, Eve Nance was 39, was convicted in January killing of Timothy Nance. Prosecutors argued she killed him over his infidelity. His naked body was found on Thanksgiving 2013 with 2 bullet wounds to the head in a wooded area on Milwaukee's northwest side. The defense argued that Nance never intended to kill her husband. Yeah, how do you not intend on killing somebody and you shooting them in the head? That doesn't make any sense. Now, although she was sentenced to life in prison, she will be eligible to file for extended supervision after 25 years. Judge Gary Sharp said, "No indication that this has been anything other than a crime of passion." In court, it was noted many times that Timothy Nance was cheating on Eve and that their relationship was mutually abusive. Now, what actually happened is about 4:30 p.m. on November 1st, 2013, Eve Nance shot her husband once in the neck and once in the head while he was in the shower. He was getting ready to meet his girlfriend for a date. Hold up. So this dude, he was pretty much open, putting stuff in his wife's face about going on dates. You can't do somebody like that. If you're gonna move on, you gotta move on. You can't just throw something like that in people's face. So Nance reported him missing to authorities, but in reality, she had carried his body to the trunk of her Buick and drove him on that winter evening to a wooded area in Milwaukee on a dead-end street. Now, in court, an expert testified and said that Eve Nance suffered from a diagnosis of battered person syndrome, according to this gentleman. Now, for years, her husband Timothy Nance flaunted multiple girlfriends in front of her and even bringing them to the home. And one time she was, I guess she caught him in the bed with one girl. Now, the Fond du Lac Circuit Court Judge Gary Sharp considered all this when he sentenced Nance on Friday to life in prison with the eligibility for parole in 25 years. And the Fond du Lac Circuit Court Judge Gary Sharp considered all this when he sentenced Nance on Friday to life in prison for the murder of her husband. The 39-year-old will be eligible for release with supervision after 25 years. Now, the district attorney, Eric Toney, had asked for a life sentence behind bars with no possibility of release. He said the couple had a history of mutual domestic violence. In the end, Timothy Nance was ambushed in the bathroom and killed execution style, Toney said. Afterward, his wife scrubbed the bathroom clean. Now, a jury found her guilty of both crimes on January 29th, 2016, of first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse. This is a sad story of a family ripped apart, Toney said. She was often the sole breadwinner in the family, he noted, working at the Walmart distribution center as a caregiver for the mentally disabled. Now, Eve said she met Timothy when she was 16 years old. She got caught up in a cycle of good times and abuse. Several people spoke on Eve Nance's behalf, including her older brother, daughter, and niece, a friend, and 2 volunteers who held Bible studies in jail with her. "Our mother is not a monster. She is a wonderful person," said Tamika Nance. "I miss my father. I can't lose her too." It just seems like this is a sad case of when people are together for so long and their relationships, they start going stale and they don't know how to end it, and they just stay and they abuse each other over and over again, and they start cheating on each other. I mean, when it's time to separate and break up, you have to do it. It hurts, but you got to just move on instead of just sitting there hurting each other. A lot of times you wish you can go back to the beginning, that there was a lot of infidelity going on. So one time, Eve went to one of Tim's girlfriend's house and barged in with a gun, and Tim's friend had to come and calm everything down. At that point, she should have realized she was losing control. She should have walked away. Tim would still be alive and she would be free. When things start going south, you have to think about yourself and your freedom and just walk away from some of these situations. Let this be a lesson to people who are dealing with relationship issues, and it's time to walk away and you don't know how. You got to really, really dig deep and find some type of way to do it, because self-preservation is really the key. So you guys take care of yourself. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.